When buying a Mini 3 there is a choice between two remote controllers. The traditional N1 compatible with all other models, or the new RC with a built-in screen. It is also possible to buy the drone without any controller at all, which is handy for users who already own other models. Or to buy the RC controller on its own, as a later upgrade. At first the controller was available only for the Mini 3, but it is now also compatible with the Mavic 3. According to reliable sources, it should be soon compatible with the Air 2 as well. In this video we will see if this new controller is a worthy upgrade. I will analyze it in detail and I will give some extra tips on some hidden but useful functionalities. Unlike the traditional RC N1, the new RC controller doesn't need a device like a smartphone or a tablet, and this is a huge advantage. Only one device to charge and carry, no cables to connect. Simply turn on the controller, that boots up in about 25 seconds, turn on the aircraft and ready to go in less than a minute. The controller is very ergonomic and well designed and fits perfectly in the hands. All the controls are easy to reach. It is a joy to use. If you own one, it would be interesting to know your impressions in the comment below. The display size is 5.5 inches, with a resolution of 1080p at 60 frames per second. The weight is 390 grams, practically the same as the RC1, but with the traditional controller we must add the weight and the space in the bag taken by a smartphone or a tablet. After removing the sticks, it fits perfectly in the Mini 3 bag, and it is an excellent solution for hiking or traveling. The brightness value is 700 nits. With RC-N1 I was always using a tablet, and I find the RC controller much brighter with much better visibility in sunny conditions. Some premium smartphones have a slightly higher nits value, but they tend to dim in sunny conditions to avoid overheating. Let's have a guided tour of the controller. On the front there are two removable sticks. On the top, some LEDs. The four to the right indicate the battery level. The one to the left is initially red, but it turns green when the connection with the drone is established. The button to the left starts a return home if we press and hold. With a quick press, the drone pauses immediately in flight and exits automated moves like master shots, quick shots or hyperlapses, which is very useful to prevent accident. In the middle there is a selector for the three speed modes: Cine, Normal and Sport. To the right, the main switch. By pressing it once, the four LEDs show the battery level. A short press followed by a long one powers the controller. The same to switch it off. On the upper side there are two buttons. The one to the left to start recording video, while the one to the right is the photo shutter. By pressing it halfway, it will focus on the middle of the screen if we are in autofocus mode. Behind the two shutters there are two wheels. The one to the left tilts the gimbal up and down. The one to the right, which is not present in the RC-N1, by default controls the zoom, but it can be customized, as we will see later. On the back there are two cavities to store the two control sticks, and two buttons that can be customized in the control tab of the setting, by opening Button Customization. By default, the one to the left is set to toggle the tilt of the gimbal from top down to facing forward. The other button is set to switch between portrait and landscape orientation. But there are plenty of other choices. It is also possible to modify the action of the right tilt, the one normally assigned to the zoom. Finally, it is also possible to customize the action of the right dial combined with each of the two buttons. Plenty of choices. On the bottom to the right, there is a USB-C port to charge the remote control from the main or with the data bank, even while it is operating. In the middle, through a small flap door, we access another USB-C port that can be used for attaching a USB microphone or a hard drive. It can also be used to charge another device, like a smartphone. The microphone can be used to add voice or sound to a screen recording, but not on video recorded with a drone. Obviously, the sound will come from the area around the controller, not from the drone. The controller has 8 GB of storage, but they are mostly used for the system. Only a couple of them are available for storage. This is where the other slot comes into play. We can insert a microSD card to store screen recordings, snapshots, and if needed a cache low resolution video file and photos that are stored in the remote controller. In the description you will find a link to SD card I suggest using. On the two sides at the bottom there are two small holes to fit a lanyard neck strap, something really useful to have the controller hanging and free your hands. I definitely recommend getting one, a very useful and affordable goodie. Another very simple but useful accessory I recommend is an anti-glare screen protection. Not only it reduces reflection in sunny conditions for a more pleasant flight experience, but also avoid scratching or damaging the built-in screen. You will find all links in the description below. After turning the controller on, by swiping down once at the top of the screen, we can see the local time, the status of the SD card, the battery level, and icons for other devices connected, like a microphone or a headphone. By swiping down twice, we access the main screen for functionalities and settings of the controller. To the left, we can explore the content of the microSD card, if we have one connected. By swiping with a finger to the right, we return to the previous screen. If we swipe up from the bottom, we exit the settings and return to DJI Fly app. On the top right half of the screen, through the gear icon, we access a menu of settings where we can choose an internet connection. And we need one in case of firmware updates or for accessing the maps. When the aircraft takes off, the internet connection on the remote controller is switched off. If we need to access the map in locations, there are two possibilities. One is to get an internet connection with your smartphone or tablet if you have set up a hotspot. Or else before flying, when we have access to an internet connection, we can browse the map of the location we intend to go at different zoom levels, so that they will be cached in memory and we will be able to access them. There are 7 icons. The first one connects to the internet if there is a network available. If we press and hold the next one, we can pair a Bluetooth device, such as an headphone. There is another icon to mute most of the messages we receive during the flight. The first icon on the second row is to record the screen. I use it all the time and find it extremely useful. An icon will appear showing the recording time and a button to stop recording. We can move it out of the way by simply dragging it. The next icon is to take a screenshot. After having composed the shot, simply tap on the icon. Screen recordings and snapshot will be shown on the notification on the left part of the screen. At the bottom there are 2 sliders for brightness and volume. Some more features are available on the landing page of the DJI Fly app by tapping on the profile icon. We can access the flight data center, find my drone, and check for firmware updates. The battery lasts for about 4 hours, which is a lot, considering the need to power the screen. It is the equivalent of 8 batteries of the aircraft, certainly enough for all occasions. And it can be powered on location by a data bank. The antennas are internal, housed on the top of the controller, between the shutters for video and photo. It might be feared that not having external antennas, like all other controllers, could reduce signal strength. I have tested the range with both the RC-N1 and the new RC controller, and I have not found major differences in signal strength, even though I do have some issues with my unit in areas with strong interference. One limitation of the RC controller is that it cannot access third-party apps. Unlike the much more expensive RC Pro, it only works at the moment with DJI Fly app. This is something to bear in mind for users that absolutely need waypoints, which might become at some point available through other apps. Do I recommend purchasing the RC controller? Absolutely. I use it all the time, not only with the Mini 3, but also with the Mavic 3. I just can't wait for it to be available on the Air 2S. When I use the Mini 2 and I have to go back to the old RCN1, it feels very cumbersome. Click on this link to watch my 9 favorite cinematic moves with the Mini 3 or other drones. And don't forget to hit the like button if you found this video interesting. Thank you.